Okay, it's time for an engine oil change in my 2023 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van. This has the OM654 engine in it. So in the manual for the van, took a look at the required engine oil. So for the 654, they recommend a number of different specifications, but the two latest ones are 229.52 and 229.71. And the way this works basically is any of those specifications are okay, and you just got to find that on the can of oil to know that it meets that specification. The other thing that's interesting is viscosity. And I'm in New Hampshire, so it gets below -15, gets very cold, and can get up to 100. So that puts me definitely in the 0W30 world, or 0W40. So that's what we're going to do. But of course, take a look at the manual and decide for yourself on viscosity. So I decided to go with Mobil 1 ESP 0W30. This meets the MB 229.52 spec. So what's interesting about the oil specs is that in the 229.71, I wasn't able to find anything but 0W20 viscosities. And in the Mercedes-Benz viscosity chart, there's no, 0W20 is not an acceptable engine oil viscosity. So, I couldn't find any 229.71 oil that meets both the spec and the viscosity requirements. So I went with 229.52 Mobil 1 ESP and 0W30. Someone else out there knows where you can get 0W30 229.71, let me know. So just a couple more notes on oil. The difference between 229.52 and 229.71 is that the 229.71 is supposed to give these new engines their absolute best gas mileage. But if it's not in the right viscosity for the van, then it's not going to work. So, but as far as capacity, the engine takes 10 liters of oil, or 10.6 quarts. So I went ahead and bought 3 5-quart jugs from Walmart. I always find that Walmart has pretty much the best price on Mobil 1. I was able to get it for $27 a jug, about $83 for all 3. Really good deal. Okay, so far as what you need to do the oil change, you need just a 10mm Allen wrench for the drain plug and a 27mm socket for the oil filter cap. Also going to need a pretty good extension to get down at that cap. Then of course you're going to need a oil filter. I got mine from Mercedes, but you can get ones from Mall on Amazon. I'll put some links in the video. And as far as oil goes, you need 10 and 10.6 quarts of oil. I chose Mobil 1 ESP 0W30, which meets the Mercedes-Benz 229.52 spec. Okay, underneath the van now, and here's the drain plug for the oil. So 10mm Allen wrench, got my 15 liter capacity drain, and I have recently ran it so it's still warm, so we're ready to pull this out. Gonna back away so I don't get splashed. Always get a little splashed. Okay, there we go. Well, oh no, not bad. Yeah, largely contained. Yeah, there's the washer on there. That's good. Let's see. Oh, see, don't do that. Okay, well, not bad. Okay, so now we want to remove the oil filter, and it's hiding down there underneath the air filter. And Mercedes kind of did a neat job of making this removable. So you loosen up that guy and pop off this hose. And there's some little click tabs that you can push back. And then this lifts off. Same thing with the oil filler, I should say. And then you also want to remove, you can put your hand down through here, and then you can click this back and lift this guy up. And push that down, little sensor pack. And then you just pull up here. And they're in rubber mounts that just come out, and then you can just kind of move this aside. Don't yank it aside because you still got this little wire connected. You don't put any stress on that, but this gives us some more room to get at the oil filter access. This thing just kind of flops around, and you can stick it on there. There we go. Okay, so now we're gonna go after that. Just need to grab my 27 millimeter, and I guess I'm going to need an extension. So I got a big old jumbo extension. This fits right down on here. Just unscrew this. Navigate this out. A little tight, but it comes out, not that too much trouble. Oil on there, so let's turn it up. And there you go. Now when you replace this, you obviously have to get this little tab in the right spot. So you want to do this quickly so you don't leave that open. Pops off. New filter, identical, of course. Clean this up, wipe that up a little bit. And you want to replace this O-ring as well. Okay, pop this guy down. And seated nicely. There's no group in there. And your filter just snaps in. Nope. Kind of, there's a little membrane there that gives us, just have it sit down. There we go. Holds it in place as you get it down in the magic hole again. You know, it's not gonna fit, it's not gonna screw down if you don't get that tab in the right spot. Okay, so I just want to give you a little tip on the oil filter and putting it back in. The oil filter has a little tip on it that goes into the very bottom of the sleeve and the block that you put the filter into. And I want to just make you aware that there's a slot, a ridge in the side of the filter here that you can see right there. And that lines up to a slot in the sleeve as you insert it into the engine. So that helps guide it in. So basically, it's really pretty easy. You just feel for that slot, you push this down, and the top of the filter is not going to go in all the way because there's a dome cap that goes on top of this. So it'll go to about right here. And then once the thread's engaged, you know that you have it right. So just feel for this ridge, and you'll be lined up correctly and everything will be good to go. And then there's a torque of 25 nanometers on this cap. So we will get out the torque wrench. Okay, so we're just gonna torque her down 25 newton meters. And there we go. Pretty easy. Okay, so now we need to get the filter back in. I'm just gonna Clean up the drain plug, put on the new crush washer, and screw this back in. And 10mm Allen. And there we go. Easy as pie. Okay, so time to pour the oil in. Takes 10.6 quarts. Quite a bit of oil. Okay, so I'm going to put in 10 quarts, and then I'm going to start it up and check the dash gauge because it doesn't have a dipstick. So you got to use the little gauge on the dash. Show you that in a sec. So after adding 10 quarts of oil, I am right above minimum. So I think I'm going to add 8 ounces and see if it moves the meter. I'm 1 click above minimum, so I'm going to put in 8 ounces about of oil, and then see where that puts me on the little dash meter. Well, it didn't move the meter at all. 8 ounces. You know, I should need 0.6 quarts, which would be about 18 to 20 ounces. So, but people do say that you have to drive around a little bit to make this meter move. So maybe I'll do that. Okay, well I added 8 and it didn't move the meter. So, and I drove it around, still didn't move the meter. Now I'm going to add 8 more. So I got it to 10.5. I'm at 10, 10 and a half quarts. I should definitely be above minimum. But like I said, people say it takes this thing a minute to respond. So I'm definitely not gonna put any more in. I'm gonna drive it around for a bit and see what happens. Okay, I just got back from driving a few miles, and the level has gone up to about halfway, which is pretty much perfect. So that is after adding 10 and a half quarts exactly. So I think we're in good shape. All right, so that's a wrap for the oil change. It's really a very easy job. And check out the links for filters and tools if you need them, but pretty straightforward, and enjoy.